Hello students, welcome to the online session of Database Management System. In today's session, we are going to study about first normal form and second normal form. The learning objectives of today's session are, after learning this session, students will be able to convert relation into first normal form and student will be able to convert relation into second normal form. So in last video, we have studied about different anomalies in database system like insertion anomaly, update anomaly and deletion anomaly, and also the redundancy problem that occur in a database system if it is not having a good database design. Okay, to avoid all these anomalies and to avoid redundancy problem in relation or in database, normalization process is used. So in normalization process, we divide larger table, that is the table which consists of number of attributes. We divide such tables into smaller tables with less number of attributes, and then we form relationship. We relate those different tables together by using referential integrity constraint. So that is the process of normalization, and this normalization process is achieved through different normalization stages, and these stages are called as a normal forms. Okay, so in database system we have mainly four normal forms, or we can say these are the important normal forms in database system, that is first normal form, second normal form, third normal form, and Boyes code normal form, that is BCNF. Okay, so in today's session we are going to study about first normal form and second normal form. So first normal form we can say that relation is in a first normal form if it contains atomic values for all attribute. That is, first normal form allows only single valued attribute. Okay, see, atomic attributes are those attributes that cannot be subdivided into components. For example, if we take a student entity, then in that student entity's roll number is a atomic attribute because it is having a single value for each row, and that roll number cannot be subdivided into components. Okay, now if we consider name of a person, then that name can be subdivided into first name and last name. So if we store that first name and last name value into one column, then that value cannot be called as a atomic value because that column can further be divided into subcomponents. Okay, so this is the concept of atomic values. Attribute of a table cannot hold multiple values in one row or in one tuple. Okay, means it all attributes in relation must contain atomic values only. That is, for each row in each column there should be a single value. Okay, multiple values cannot be stored in single cell. This is the condition of first normal form. Also, first normal form does not allow composite attribute or multi-valued attribute. Now we already know about composite attribute and multi-valued attribute. Composite attributes are those attributes that are not atomic, that is, they can be subdivided into components. So these type of attributes are called composite attribute. And multi-valued attributes are those attributes which have multiple values for a single row. Okay, now let's take example of entities. Here we have two entities, employee entity and department entities, and both entities are related to each other by using a relationship works in, that is, employee works in department. So in employee entity we have attribute employee ID, which is a composite attribute, that is employee. Okay, now this employee name can be divided into first name and last name. That's why it is called composite attribute. The name can be further subdivided into components. Okay, so it is a composite type of attribute. And next we have attribute that is phone. So this phone number attribute is represented by using double ellipse because it is a multi-valued attribute. Means one employee can have more than one phone number. Okay, that's why multi-valued attribute is here, that is phone number. So now we'll draw a diagram, or we'll draw a relation. We will convert this employee entity into the relation. So when we convert this entity, that entity relationship diagram of employee entity into relation, then our relation will become like this. See, it consists of 4 attributes as given in ER diagram. So employee ID is there, employee name, phone and salary. Okay, now see, employee ID is the primary key, that's why it is having unique value. Okay, and single value for each row. Now look at employee name. Employee name is a composite attribute which is a combination of first name and last name. So here we have stored first name and last name of employee in single attribute, that is by using employee name. So here first employee is having name John Smith, second is having Mary Jones, means it is a combination of first name and last name, and both the values are stored in a single cell, and both the values are stored by using a single attribute name. Okay, then next attribute is phone number. So phone number is a multi-valued attribute, that is one employee may have more than one phone number. So here as we can see, employee number 1 is having 2 phone numbers and employee number 3 is also having 2 phone numbers. So we have stored both the phone number values in single cell. Okay, but this is a denormalized relation, that is this relation, this table is not satisfying the condition of first normal form. That is in first normal form composite attribute is not allowed. Here we have stored composite attribute, that is employee name, which consists of first name and last name. Again, first normal form does not support multi-valued attribute. Here we have stored multi-valued attribute, that is phone number. Okay, means here if we look at employee name and phone, these two attribute, then we can say that these two attribute doesn't have atomic value. Okay, here multiple values are there for phone number in single cell, and here in employee name, this employee name can be further subdivided into first name and last name. So here a value is not atomic, and in case of phone number, one cell consists of more than one value for the same entity. Okay, so this is this relation is not in a first normal form. So we need to convert this relation into first normal form. So let's see how this relation can be converted into first normal form. See, at the right side you can see figure 2, which is the employee table and which is normalized table, which is converted into first normal form. So while converting given relation into first normal form, here for employee number 1 we have created 2 rows. Okay, here we have created 2 rows for employee number 1, and the phone number, since employee number 1 is having 2 phone numbers, both the phone numbers are written in separate rows. Okay, that's why 2 rows are there for employee 1. Similarly, employee number 3 is also having 2 phone numbers, so 2 separate rows are created for employee number 3. So this is how we have removed the problem of multi-valued attribute. Okay, now here if you look at the resulting table, then for each row there is a single value of phone number. So the problem of multi-valued attribute is resolved. Now see, we don't want this composite attribute, that is e-name also. We don't want this type of attribute here. So that e-name is divided into 2 columns. That single attribute is divided into 2 attributes in a resulting table, first name and last name. Okay, and this is how by dividing this composite attribute into 2 attributes, we have minimized the problem of composite attribute also. Okay, so here this table is a normalized table. This figure 2 table is a normalized table which have atomic values for all attributes. Here if you look at employee ID, then we cannot divide employee ID further. Then first name and last name also we cannot divide these values further. Phone number cannot be divided into subcomponent, and salary is also having atomic value. Okay, so our first condition is met, that is all attributes have atomic values. Okay, single value per cell, and here it doesn't consist of any composite attribute, because we have divided that composite attribute, that e-name composite attribute, into 2 attributes, first name and last name. Now we can say that this relation is in first normal form. See, first normal form is the basic normal form. Okay, it is a basic normal form. The another way to divide or to convert denormalized relation into first normal form is this. Here you can see we have created two tables. See, in previous option there are a number of ways to convert denormalized relation into first normal form. So we have seen first option that we can create a different attribute for composite attribute can be divided into sub attribute, okay, and then store values for that composite attribute, and then for multi-valued attribute we can create separate rows, okay. So this is the first way using which we can convert denormalized relation into first normal form. Now let's see what is the another way of conversion. The another way is, here we can simply create two different table. First table which consists of simple attribute or the attribute which has atomic value, and the second table which consists of multi-valued attribute, okay. So here we have shifted this phone number attribute, which is a multi-valued attribute, into another table along with the primary key, that is along with the employee ID, okay. So here now this employee phone, figure number 1, this employee phone table is in first normal form because it has atomic value for all the two attribute, and here there is no composite attribute. So figure number 1, that is employee phone, this table is in first normal form. Now if we look at figure number 2, that is employee info table, in this table also we have all the attributes that consist of atomic values, and here there is no composite attribute, okay. So first normal form is the basic normal form in normalization. It is a theoretical concept, that is whenever we got any relation for the first time, it is always in a first normal form. Whenever entity relationship diagram, if it is a it is having a good design, then whenever that entity relationship diagram is converted into a relation, then that relation is always in a first normal form, okay. So it is a basic normal form. Now let's see how to convert any relation into second normal form, and what are the conditions that relation has to satisfy to become in a second normal form, okay. So we can say a relation is in a second normal form if it is in a first normal form, okay. So the first condition is that the relation must be in a first normal form, that is relation must not contain any multi-valued attribute, and it must not contain any composite type of attribute, okay. And the second condition for second normal form is that the relation should not contain any partial dependency, okay. See, if relation satisfy these two conditions, that is it is in a first normal form, and if it doesn't have any partial dependency, then we can say the relation is in second normal form. Now what is partial dependency? See, when non-prime attributes are dependent on the proper subset of candidate key, then it is called as partial dependency, okay. Now see, what are prime attributes and what are non-prime attributes? The attributes that form candidate key are prime attribute, and rest of all attributes are called as non-prime attribute, okay. Now for this we can consider a simple example. If we have a student table, then we can say in student table roll number is a primary key, it is a candidate key, it is a primary key, okay. Means by using roll number we can identify each student uniquely. So that roll number can be called as a prime attribute, and rest of all attribute which are not the part of candidate key in student table, then all remaining attributes are called as non-prime attribute, okay. So when we have composite primary key means a primary key or a candidate key which has more than one attribute, okay. When we have a combination of more than one attribute as a key, then it is called as composite candidate key or composite primary key, okay. In that case, if we if there is a partial dependency, if non-prime attributes are dependent on the subset of candidate key. In that case, in composite candidate key, if non-prime attribute are dependent on the subset of candidate key, then we can say that there is a partial dependency in a relation. So in second normal form, we don't want this type of partial dependency. So let's take one example for this. Here we have customer table, which consists of customer ID, customer name, phone number, product ordered by that customer, and the order date. Okay, so these are the attributes of customer table. Now first we'll find out the functional dependencies in given relation. Okay, see, functional dependencies and candidate keys or primary keys, these are the important topics, or we can say these are the prerequisites of normalization process. So before studying normalization, you must study functional dependencies, the types of functional dependencies, and the types of keys. Okay, that I have already explained in my previous videos. So here let's find out functional dependency. So functional dependency is nothing but the relationship between two attributes. Okay, when one attribute decides or determines the value of another attribute, then we can say there exists a functional dependency between these two attributes. So here functional dependency is that customer ID determines customer name. That is, if you look at the customer ID, if customer ID is 1, then customer name is Max. Again customer ID 1 is repeated, but here in second row also for customer ID 1, customer name is Max. Okay, so here we can say that customer ID determines customer name. See, when customer ID determines customer name, this is a functional dependency. It means that if the customer ID is having same value in 10 rows, then customer name will also have same value in all the 10 rows. Then only we can say that there is a functional dependency between customer ID and customer name. Okay, similarly we have another functional dependency here. Customer ID determines phone. Okay, means the value of phone number is dependent on the value of customer ID. If you look at customer ID 1, then there is a value of phone number. Again there is customer ID 1 in second row, and the value of phone number is same. For customer ID 2, there is a single phone number. For 3 also there is a single phone number. Okay, so we can say that customer ID determines the value of phone. These are the functional dependency. Then we have another functional dependency, that is customer ID and product ID. Okay, customer ID and product ID combinedly determines order date. See, here we cannot find out order date value from customer ID. Okay, because if we say customer ID 1 and find out the order date, then there are two different order dates for customer ID 1. So customer ID 1 doesn't determine order date. Okay, similarly if we say order date is dependent on product ID, then it is also not true, because for product ID P3, in first row there is one order date, and in last row for product ID P3 there is another order date. So when we have different values of dependent, then there is no functional dependency. Okay, so here order date attribute is not dependent on product ID, and it is also not dependent on customer ID alone. Okay, means this customer ID alone cannot determine the value of order date, and product ID alone cannot determine the value of order date. So we need to combine customer ID and product ID to determine the value of order date. Now here we have got three functional dependencies. First is customer ID determines customer name, customer ID determines phone, and customer ID and product, this combination determines order date. Okay, so now we'll find out the closure of each of the attribute. Okay, see, here we want to find out candidate key first. Okay, so candidate key, because it is related to partial dependency, and partial dependency is related to candidate key. Okay, so here first we need to find out the value of candidate key. That's why we are finding functional dependency. So functional dependencies are here. Okay, and now to determine the candidate key, we need to find out the closure of each of the attribute. Okay, so the closure of customer ID. See, I have already explained closure concept also. Okay, you can go through that video in functional dependency. So here customer ID, the closure of customer ID is customer ID itself, then customer ID determines customer name. That's why customer name is also a closure of customer ID. Here customer ID determines phone, so phone number is also a closure of customer ID. Okay, so the closure set of customer ID attribute consists of customer ID itself, because an attribute can determine its own value. Okay, that's why closure consists of that attribute also. Then here functional dependencies are given, that is customer ID determines customer name. So we have written that customer name is a closure set. Then customer ID determines phone, this functional dependency is given. So we have written phone number in a closure set. So this is a closure set of customer ID. Then next closure set is customer ID and product ID. Okay, so this is combinedly a key because it is given in a functional dependency. So let's find out the closure for this key. Okay, so first customer ID is there because customer ID is a part of a key. So closure set consists of customer ID attribute. So now let's see what is the closure of this customer ID. So the closure of this customer ID is include that closure also. Okay, see, the closure set of customer ID and product ID consists of customer ID. This is the first attribute. Then this customer ID attribute determines customer name. That's why we have written customer name also. Customer ID determines phone number also. That's why we have written phone number. Now your key consists of product ID. Here customer ID and product ID, this is the key, and this key consists of product ID also. So that product ID attribute is written in a closure set. Okay, and this customer ID and product ID combinedly determines order date because it is given in a functional dependency. That's why the closure set of customer ID and product ID consists of all the attribute, that is customer ID, customer name, phone number, product ID and order date. Okay, so this is how we can find out closure of any attribute from the given functional dependency. Now let's see how to find out candidate key. So candidate key is a key which can become a primary key. So what is primary key? Primary key is a unique identifier, or primary key is a key in a table which can identify each attribute uniquely. Okay, so here let's see which attribute can be a primary key. See, customer ID attribute cannot be a primary key because customer ID can determine customer ID itself, it can determine customer name and it can determine phone. Okay, so customer ID can determine only 3 attributes from the relation. Customer name can determine only customer ID. Okay, or if more than one customer is having same name, then customer name cannot determine customer ID also. Okay, so customer name cannot be a key, phone number cannot be a key because there may be a duplication. Okay, so product ID alone cannot be a key, order date is also not a key. So here from the given closure set we can say that customer ID and product ID, this combination is a candidate key because customer ID and product ID, this combination can identify all the attributes in a relation. Okay, so this is how we can find out closure from functional dependency, and from closure we can find out candidate keys. Okay, so here in this table, in this customer table, customer ID and product ID, this combination is a candidate key. Okay, so now let's see, when we say we don't want partial dependency in second normal form. See, this relation is in first normal form, but it is not in second normal form because there is a partial dependency. Now let's see what is the partial dependency. Here we have customer ID and product ID as a candidate key. Okay, but if you carefully look at the functional dependency, then customer ID can determine customer name and it can determine phone. Means out of these 5 attribute, two attributes are there. These two are the non-prime attributes. So these two attributes are dependent on the subset of candidate key. Okay, see, if you find out the subset of customer ID and product ID, if you find out the subset of this combination, then you will get two subset. Customer ID is one subset and product ID is another subset. Okay, now here, as per the given functional dependency, we can say that customer name and phone, these are two non-prime attribute because they are not the part of candidate key. So they are the non-prime attribute. So these two non-prime attribute are dependent on customer ID only, and customer ID is a proper subset of candidate key. So there is a partial dependency. Okay, these two attributes are dependent on the part of candidate key. They are not dependent on the entire candidate key. They are dependent on the part of candidate key. That's why there is a partial dependency. So we need to remove this partial dependency to convert this relation into second normal form. Now let's see how to remove this partial dependency. So we can divide this entire relation into a smaller table. So here I have divided this relation like this. First relation consists of customer ID, customer name and phone number. Okay, and second relation consists of customer ID, product ID and order date. So here the larger relation, which is not in the second normal form, is divided into two relations, into two tables. Now we can say these two tables are in second normal form because in cust info, that is in figure number 1, the table is given in a cust info. In this table, customer ID is the candidate key. It is the only candidate key. So customer ID is a prime attribute and customer name and phone, these two are the non-prime attribute. So here we can say that customer name and phone, these two are dependent on customer ID only. They are not dependent on any other attribute, or they are not dependent on the part of candidate key, because here candidate key consists of a single attribute. So this relation, figure number 1, this relation is in second normal form. Similarly, in second relation, that is figure number 2, which is a cust prod table, it is a name of table. Okay, so in this table, customer ID and product ID, this is a candidate key. Okay, it is a composite candidate key, and the non-prime attribute is order date, and this order date is dependent on both the attribute. Okay, they are not this order date attribute is not dependent on the part of candidate key. Okay, means it is not only dependent on customer ID, or it is not only dependent on product ID, but it is dependent on the combination, that is customer ID and product ID. That's why we can say that this second table is also in a second normal form. Okay, so here in both the table, all non-prime attributes are depend on its candidate key only. So there is no partial dependency exist in both the tables. Okay, so this is how we can convert any relation into second normal form. So this is all about today's session. In today's session, we have studied about two normal forms in normalization: first normal form and second normal form. First normal form is the basic normal form. Whenever we convert any ER diagram into relation, then those relation will always be in a first normal form. In first normal form, we don't want composite attribute and we don't want multi-valued attribute. If we have composite attribute, then we divide that attribute into sub-attribute, and if we have multi-valued attribute, if any attribute consists of multiple value in a single cell, then we create separate rows for all those values in a multi-valued attribute. Okay, then only our relation will be in a first normal form. And in second normal form, we have two conditions: that relation must be in a first normal form, and second is the relation should not contain partial dependency. So partial dependency means when we have composite candidate key, means our candidate key consists of more than one attribute. In that case, if we take a subset of candidate key, then no non-prime attribute is dependent on the subset of candidate key. Okay, so then only we can say our relation is in a second normal form. Okay, so this is all about today's session. Thank you.